good afternoon. It's a pleasure having you attending my session. As I already have been briefly introduced, my name is Joerg Scheifler. I'm responsible for the Siemens mobility business in the Middle East. Mobility for Siemens, it is attributed to rail as well as road mobility. I'm stationed in Abu Dhabi, and perhaps also to explain Middle East for us, that means all the countries from Libya in the west to Afghanistan and Pakistan in the east. Before I go into details, a few words to the theme, sustainable urban transport. We believe that sustainable urban transport is central for the success of the sustainable urban development of any city in the Middle East. There is no exception. It is vital. And also I think it's very important that we define what is sustainable. It's usually translated with green energy. Actually for us, sustainable mobility is threefold. It consists of economical sustainability, it's ecological sustainability and social sustainability. Now, having said that, let me dive into my presentation, and I want to start the topic of sustainable urban transport with a little trailer which we produced, which I think nicely visualizes the topic. Please.
We've been driving mobility for over a century and a half. So what drives us? It's simple. We're never satisfied because we believe in better. We're forever seeking improvements that will enhance people's lives today and tomorrow. Our greatest asset, intelligence, is required to take our innovations to that next level. And with the future of mobility in mind, we make real what matters. We build intelligent infrastructures that don't just react, but anticipate. Monitoring systems that reduce train downtime to increase availability. Dynamic control systems that optimize traffic flow and throughput. And electronic information and payment systems that improve passenger experience. These innovations are all made possible by intelligent software, made by the people who know the hardware. Us. Thinking mobility further.
This little trailer nicely covered most of the topics which actually I want to emphasize on. And let's dive now a little bit deeper into the topic. On the slide which you can see now here, I want to show you a few quite interesting statistics from independent sources. If you look, for example, on the left here, the overall growth of urban transport globally is calculated to increase between 2010 to 2050 almost or more than twofold, from 22 trillion people kilometer, we call it, to, as you can see, almost 50 trillion people kilometers. And if you look in detail, most of this increase is actually going to happen in the non-OECD countries of which the Middle East is a part of. Now, focusing on that, and if we look now at the table in the middle, demand growth by mode of transport, and here it becomes very obvious that the increase from 4.4 trillion people kilometers to 24 trillion people kilometers is mainly coming from individual traffic. Now here you have to understand that this is extrapolated. It's extrapolated on current available trends. As mentioned, very strong growth on individual traffic, only modest growth in public transport, and that results quite obvious in gridlocked streets and an extremely unpleasant environment. So now, in order to change that, what we say, we need a high shift scenario. And this high shift scenario is basically key to keep the cities functioning. Now, what does that include? A high shift scenario for us basically is the move away from the individual traffic to the public traffic or to the public transport. Of course, we will never be able to completely avoid the individual traffic, but we should be able to significantly reduce it. What could be achieved, again, is based on global statistics, and basically we considered benchmark cities like Copenhagen, Hong Kong or Singapore to reach what you can see on the table here, that this individual transport could significantly be reduced. Now, that was basically the global view. Now, let's get a bit closer to our region, to the Middle East. Again, a few local perspectives. Sustainable urban transport, as I mentioned at the beginning, is a key for the development of the Middle East. And as I said, for us, it consists of three levers. One is the economic, the other one environmental, and the social sustainability. I brought a few statistical examples here. Economically sustainability, looking here, for example, at the average commuting time per day in some of the cities of our region. You see here very prominent on top Dubai with 105 minutes. But also many other known cities in the region are well above, call it benchmark, like Singapore or London with 34 or 45 minutes. An example or a typical KPI for environmental sustainability, the particulate matter concentration, also here, Dubai, Abu Dhabi and other Middle East cities are far in front of global average data. Of course, here we have to be a bit fair. On one hand, the general environment doesn't necessarily facilitate a low rate, but the combination of environment plus an ever-increasing individual transport leads to data as you have it here on this table. Last but not least, of course, social sustainability, quality of life. Also here, quite an interesting statistics. Road traffic injuries, death cases per 100,000. UAE, unfortunately, very much ahead. And again, compared to other countries like the UK or France, there is a tremendous potential of improvement. So now what to do? What theoretically we could do or we should do in order to improve this situation? I have visualized it on this slide. Again, everything moves around the three levers: economic competitiveness, citizen satisfaction, and improvement of the environment. We do see here four key levers which I'm showing here. First of all, I think it's relatively easy to come to this conclusion. It's the shift to public transport. Metro trams, also in some cases mainline traffic is an absolute must. But then, of course, not only these topics need to be considered, also intermodal transportation or solutions, and digitalization is an issue. We have to make this, on one hand, yes, we have to provide these modes of transport, but on the other hand, we also have to make sure that they are attractive enough. So we have to do a lot to offer to the customers attractive end-to-end travel solutions. Innovative technologies, of course, that plays a big role, especially with regards to the environmental sustainability. Here, again, we have to look at e-mobility, we have to look at other energy-saving solutions in the public transport arena. And then, of course, early phase collaboration, early phase engagement. And I believe changes you cannot really achieve in a typical customer and contractor relationship. Out of our experience, it is very important to have a very early engagement with your customers, with the cities, with consultants. We call that kind of trusted advisor relationship, which is vital to achieve this change. That was the theory, and I also want to bring here a few practical examples with regards to these levers which I mentioned. It's not only theory, there is already real change out there. One example, Riyadh. Currently we are executing, or we are building 2 lines of the Riyadh network. Along with these 2 lines, we of course also intend to introduce software solutions which, as I mentioned, help the future customers to have this good feel in using the public transport. Intermodality, digitalization, here I think Dubai is a very good example. The road has been paved in Dubai for digitalization with the current smart city move, which has been pushed by the government, and that also helped a lot in rolling out a number of pilot projects which we are engaged with RTA, for example. Doha, I am happy to bring here as an example for innovative technologies. We are currently building a tram there, a 12-kilometer tram line in Qatar Education City. And the interesting thing is this tram is catenary free. It is propelled by a combination of batteries and capacitors. The vehicles are only charged at the train stops. So it's a very high-tech and unique solution which we are rolling out currently there. And then of course early phase collaboration. This so-called trusted advisorship which I mentioned, and here I'm happy to mention Abu Dhabi. Our engagement with Master City, we are working with them together for their urban mobility strategy. But, and that's also quite interesting, we are in joint developments for Master City, also together with the German automotive industry, especially regarding autonomous driving. So here a few real-life examples as to what can be done. So let me sum up. Sustainable urban transport in the Middle East is not only a theory, it is realizable, as you perhaps could see on the previous slide. We are very much engaged and we are very much involved in supporting the different cities and countries here in the Middle East. Our approach towards, we believe, these 4 key levers, shift to public transport, for example, is in being able to offer a comprehensive public transport portfolio. On the intermodality side, we actually, as you saw it also on the statistics, one should not only look to public transport, also the individual transport will remain, and you should be able to offer also intelligent traffic solutions, innovative technologies. Here I think you should see the big picture. It's not only mobility, it's also power and energy. energy generation, power distribution, and mobility in combination. I mean, you can see here fast charging, for example. We are very much involved with the German automotive industry in finding solutions to charge e-vehicles, not in 2 hours, but the goal is in 15 minutes. Now, how do you achieve it? The future board network of e-cars will not be 12 volts or 24 volts. Actually, we're working now on an 800 volt solution. So on that voltage level, you will be able to charge the cars and the batteries much faster. Yeah, and then, as I mentioned already, as early engagement as possible to establish this trusted advisor partnership. And the way forward, sustainable urban transport needs an integrated approach. One has to take various aspects into account, the economic, the environmental, as well as the social aspects. Now, in order to achieve this triple bottom line, we should come up with ambitious, but at the same time also implementable solutions. And I brought you a few examples here. Ultimately, all that you only can achieve if you are sufficiently local present, local organizations, local companies, and local expertise. Thank you very much for your attention.